Tigers in action yesterday. Game 3 of this 4-game series with the Minnesota Twins. And, man, what is going on with the Tigers? What the heck? So, on paper, you'd think the Tigers scoring 6 runs in a Framber Valdez start, that this would be, that should be an easy dub. Not the case. Not the case in this one. Framber Valdez making his 3rd start with the Tigers, being the highest profile offseason acquisition for this team. But he got jumped in that first inning. Was not looking good. As a matter of fact, first pitch, very first pitch, Byron Buxton single to left field, and just things continued to spiral out of control from there. You had a hit by pitch, couple base runners on. It's going to put pressure on any pitcher when you get not just a base runner, but multiple base runners on without getting an out. That's tough. You had a Keishel force out, but then runners on second and third. Byron Buxton scoring on a wild pitch. And then you had an RBI ground out. At that point, making it 2-0. You had another walk, another single, another run scoring, double, run scores, just continuing to add on. Including in that one, that Josh Bell single. Attempted double play by the Tigers that they couldn't get any out. How crazy is that? So at the end of the first, it was already 6-0. Twins over Tigers. It's like, man, with Framber Valdez, crazy. Now, this can happen to any pitcher. As a matter of fact, we saw it with Framber Valdez specifically last year as a member of the Houston Astros. Remember a later series in the year? I believe it was August, if not September. I think it was an earlier September series. But Framber Valdez was starting for the Houston Astros against the Tigers. And the Tigers just jumped all over him. Contact. Bam. Just like that, the Tigers opening up a big early lead, just like this one. The Twins against the Tigers last night. But the Tigers leaving him in, you think in any other situation, a pitcher has a very rough start like that, they might consider pulling him early. But he was able to stabilize a little bit. Next couple of innings, of course, the Twins able to add one in the 4th inning. And then again in the 6th. So Framber Valdez, 8 runs through 5 innings. Didn't end up getting any outs before allowing that run and getting pulled in the 6th inning. But they had to really stretch him out in this one. I mean, you think 4-game series here, immediately rolling into a 3-game series over the weekend. So this team doesn't have another day off until Monday. So they're really trying to stretch out these pitchers. Even though Valdez had a very poor start, especially that first inning. Trying to preserve the bullpen for these games to come. You don't want to burn the bullpen out too soon. Then you're going to be in some real trouble potentially in the next coming games. So you had to kind of keep Valdez in. Granted, after that first inning, he looked pretty good in this one. But just rough. 10 hits, 2 walks. That's 12 base runners veered the hit and walk in just 5 innings. Tough. And then some pretty good stuff in relief for Emmanuel De Jesus, Kyle Finnegan, and Will Vest to stabilize things as the Tigers started to come back. They pick up their first 2 runs in the 6th inning. Tigers getting a big inning going. Started with a Colt Keith leadoff double. Kevin McGonigal flies out, and then Gleyber Torres single, runners in the corners. Kerry Carpenter with a one-run single, runners in the corners again. Riley Green fly out, and then Dylan Dingler with a run there. So, bam. Just like that, getting a couple runs on. Starting to chip away. 8-2 at this point. I believe at this point it was actually 7-2. Beg your pardon, I was getting a little bit ahead of myself. But then the one additional run in the bottom of the sixth inning for the Twins, 8-2. And then another 4 runs in the seventh inning for the Tigers. This is the inning they needed to try to get some mojo back in this one. Javi Baez single. Spencer Torkelson pitch hitting, he flies out, and then Kevin McGonigal single. Gleyber Torres 2-run double. Bringing in 2 more runs, chipping into that deficit even further. Jahmai Jones strikes out, and then Riley Green, 1-run single. Dylan Dingler with a single. Runners in the corners, and then Riley Green scoring on a wild pitch. And just like that, the Tigers, within striking distance, they're within 2. You got a ball game at this point. But the Twins, able to shut the door. Got a couple guys on in the 8th inning on a Javi Baez double, and then Spencer Torkelson hit by pitch. But then, man, this is the big missed opportunity here. Kevin McGonigal, young. And I know he's demonstrated a great understanding of the strike zone, great discipline, great vision. But, man, this one really hurt. I mentioned 2 runners on, just 1 out. Kevin McGonigal with a 3-0 count. And he swings at a pitch on the top of the zone, which likely would have been called a strike anyways, but just a really bad spot to, if you're swinging under it, guess what happened? Pop out into foul territory on a 3-0 count. Oh, man, that stings to get out in that fashion with that count and with the base runners piling on. So just like that, it's 2 on and 2 out, and then Gleyber Torres called strike 3. I believe that one was overturned on a ABS challenge, if I'm not mistaken. So, man, tough one. Tough one right there. There's another good opportunity for the Tigers to try to keep adding runs. And then the 9th inning. Last chance for the Tigers. Jahmai Jones flies out. All right, Riley Green walks. Anytime Riley Green walks, that's a win in itself. Dylan Dingler tried to hop out of the way, but pitch got his foot. He gets on. Parker Meadows hit with a force out, but that was it. Could have potentially been a game-ending double play, but just the 1 out. So runners now at the corners with 2 outs. So you got the tying run at first, go-ahead run at the plate. Zach McKinstry, oh, man. Oh, when this left the bat, I thought this was good. At least going to be 1 more run scored for the Tigers. Zach McKinstry line out, but then, Keishel snagging that one, leaping up at second, and ending it. Oof. So, good job by the Tigers fighting back. You're down 7 runs early, especially 6-0 at the end of the first inning. That's tough. That's a tough hole to be put in, but to be able to fight back, it's good stuff. And I mentioned that's just the thing with the Tigers this year, it seems. Just not really in sync right now. You have these games where the bats, like in this one in the later innings, really perform well. 12 hits in this one. Good stuff for the Tigers. Can't really complain there. And then 6 runs as well. It's a good number. You're going to win. When you're getting 6 runs, you're going to win the majority of those. But unfortunately, just the rough start, that very poor first inning for Framber Valdez, doomed this one for the start. And as I mentioned, a game where the Tigers get 12 hits, 6 runs in a game that Framber Valdez starts, you'd think that would be an easy win, but unfortunately not. And we've got the second already 4-game losing streak for the Tigers this season. Think about how long it took the Tigers to go on really any sort of losing streak last season. Obviously got off to a very hot start through the All-Star break before the train was completely derailed after that second half of the season. But no, it's, man. Now, that said, 2 4-game losing streaks, losing a 4-game series officially now at this point. Chance to salvage the last game today, but losing a series in general to the Twins, man, it's tough, but a 4-gamer. Oh, and in a series where you got Skubal and Valdez pitching. That's crazy. Mentioned Skubal, a rare rough inning in his last start, but didn't get quite the run support anyways he needed. But then in this one, got the run support, but just rough start for Valdez. So the Tigers, again, I'm not too concerned yet. Still very early. I just think the Tigers need to get into a rhythm. But no, it's been kind of weird. A weird start to the season for the Detroit Tigers. But hey, always time to turn it around. You got a couple big series coming up. Of course, you got the last game of the series today at 1:40 with the pregame show starting shortly after this program ends today here on Jackson's Fox Sports 101.9 FM. You got Jack Flaherty on the mound. And then you've also, for the Twins, got Mick Abel on the mound, who he's been pretty rough in his first couple of starts this season. So we'll see. Hopefully we get a strong finish to the series for the Tigers. And that will roll on to their second home series of the season, which we saw how well they played at home against the St. Louis Cardinals. We've got the Marlins in town this weekend, which looks like it'll be Kiter Montero getting his second start of the season in that first game against the Marlins. And he's opposed by former Tiger Chris Paddock, who was acquired at the trade deadline last season, and he was not good, to say the least. So Montero and Paddock in that first game against the Marlins on Friday. Saturday, you got Casey Mize. And then Sunday, you've got Tarik Skubal. Although we'll see if they kind of mess with that a little bit going into that off day on Monday. Because AJ Hinch making some comments that he's going to try to space out Valdez and Skubal in the pitching rotation. Having 2 lefties starting back-to-back, kind of want to space those out, especially top-end left-handed starters like that. Spreading them out in the rotation, so we'll see how they do that. Obviously, the last 2 starts coming from Valdez and Skubal. So we'll see if maybe Skubal's start gets pushed back, and then after that, maybe Valdez gets pushed back. We'll see what happens coming up, but I would expect something maybe to change by that time. But regardless, Tigers today trying to salvage the last game of their 4-game series with the Minnesota Twins. First pitch is at 1:40.
If you missed today's installment of On the Docket, podcast it at foxsports1019.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to tune in live weekdays at noon on Jackson's Fox Sports 101.9 FM.